Okay, guys, now that President Tinubu is back from the UK, let's take a look at what he actually went there to do, apart from eating, of course, with King Charles. Let's remove emotions for a second and just look at what he signed. So during President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's state visit to the UK this week, three major things went down. Things that have kept Nigerians talking, angry, outraged, happy, and impressed at the same time. Now, the first two are agreements. And the third is the very impressive Naija no dey carry last line from King Charles, which somehow got some Nigerians excited and very impressed. And for those of us who may not fully understand these agreement deals he signed, let me break them down simply, okay? The first one is the migration stroke deportation agreement deal. This is mainly an immigration and returns agreement, okay? Because for years, the UK has been trying to send back people who don't have the legal right to stay there. And now with this deal, the UK has a faster system to send back home Nigerians who, one, have applied for asylum, but their asylums were rejected. Also those who have committed crimes, serious crimes in the UK, and even those who have overstayed their visas. That is what the deal is all about. So even without passports, they can now be deported to Nigeria, because now a UK issued letter can be used to identify you as a Nigerian. Let that sink. You see, Nigeria has agreed to accept UK letters as an alternative ID document issued by the UK as proof that you are Nigerian. So technically, Baba don't sign say make UK help am decide who be Nigeria. You see that? Now, the real question is this. Who verifies these UK letters? What happens if someone is wrongly classified as Nigerian? What legal recourse do they have once they land in Nigeria? We are now outsourcing Nigerian identity to British paperwork. So let's ask the obvious question. Qui bono? Who really benefits from this agreement deal? The UK wants to reduce illegal migration. According to their records, they have over 900 failed asylum seekers and over 1,100 convicted Nigerians waiting to be deported. So this deal helps them clear that backlog quickly. And on Nigeria's side, they say it's about dignified return and reintegration. But where is that reintegration plan? Where are the jobs? Where is the housing? Where is the support system? So what are we really doing? Taking people who struggled abroad, bringing them back home in the same conditions they tried to escape in the first place, and calling it dignity. This to me looks like Nigeria doing UK's dirty work to look responsible globally, while our people suffer the fallout with no safety net whatsoever. Tinubu's government has the temerity to talk about integrity deportation, when it is under the same administration Japa exploded. People are living in record numbers. Now suddenly we are fast tracking their return. And let's not ignore timing. is important. Okay? While citizens are dealing with insecurity at home, the priority becomes making it easier for another country to return people to that same insecurity. Somewhere between that plate of fish and chips with King Charles and diplomatic smiles, polite laughter, we signed a deal that benefits the UK immediately and leaves Nigeria with questions. That must have been a very persuasive meal of Sunday roast. British people and Sunday roast. Anyways, let's hold that in abeyance and move on to the second deal, the second agreement deal that was signed. Now, this one looks good on paper. £746 million port development infrastructure. It sounds like progress, right? And yes, Nigeria needs better ports. No argument here, no argument about that. Apapa is congested. Tinkan is struggling. We need efficiency. We need that one, right? But let's look deeper, okay? Let's take a deeper look. UK Export Finance guarantees funding to upgrade two major ports in Lagos, the Tinkan and Apapa. At the same time, British Steel gets a 70 million deal, 120,000 tons of steel, the biggest export deal of its kind for the UK recently. This saves and protects British jobs in the steel industry and pumps money into the UK economy. So British jobs are protected and their economy is already benefiting from the deal. But before one Nigerian container moves faster, British factories are already working. In fact, the British Prime Minister posted this to show their historic economic wins. So again, I ask the question, who benefits first and who benefits most? Because let's be honest, right? Our biggest problem is not just infrastructure. Our biggest problem is corruption. It's customs bottlenecks. It's deliberate delays. It's who do you know before your goods move? That who do you know factor. You can build the most modern port in the world. If corruption remains, you have just created a more efficient place to be corrupt. These Western leaders, they know this, but they don't talk about this with our not corrupt leaders. When they are sitting on those polished dining tables, they don't talk about this. We have seen this pattern before, right? Look at Senegal. A modern highway, beautiful roads from the airport to Dakar, but toll gates everywhere. And the money doesn't stay in Senegal. The money flows back to foreign companies in France, and it's going to happen for decades. 30 years. France built that fancy toll road from the airport to Dakar. And due to multiple toll gates, the holdup on that road is horrific, unspeakable. You spend hours on a normal 20 to 30 minutes journey on that road, yet money flows back to French companies for the next 25 and 30 years. So yes, the road is there, but on whose turn? Now, this is a similar vibe. UK finances. UK still wins big. UK economy gets boosted. We get ports that should be ours to fix with our resources in the first place. But now we won't do that. Let's outsource the glory. So I ask again, are we building infrastructure or are we signing long-term dependency? Now, the part that grinds my gears the most is not even the agreement deals. It's our reaction. You see people excited because King Charles said Naija no dey carry last, because he managed to say Naija no dey carry last, and suddenly it's viral.
Naija no dey carry last.
People are proud. Nigerians are impressed. Honestly, it's heart-wrenching to see how Nigerians get easily hyped and impressed when superior white people act African. How does King Charles saying Naija no dey carry last, how is that an achievement? How does that sound like an achievement? Pidgin is not some royal recognition. It's not a gift. Pidgin isn't our indigenous language, in case you don't know. It is a product of colonial history, a broken bridge between languages, forced by contact, shaped by power. So when he speaks it, we celebrate. But when you speak English, does he celebrate? I was taught to speak English. I was taught English from childhood because it was imposed on me. I speak it fluently right now, today. Do Brits clap when we speak their language perfectly? You have been speaking his language since childhood. You built your education around that language. You think in it. You work in it. But one sentence, just one line, and suddenly it's validation. We celebrate him using our street slang as if it's exotic. It's condescending. Yet we cheer when the former colonizer mimics us. And if a simple phrase in Pidgin excites us more than the actual agreement signed in our name, then we are not paying attention. And when people stop paying attention, that's when everything important gets signed quietly.